pretend to speak in the mic if you don't mind.
السلام عليكم حياك الله خير كيف الحال
So
you feel
so the question is, what is your definition of good, of morality, etc., right? So I believe, you asked the question before, if I told you to kill someone's child because of what their grandparents done, would I do it, right? The answer is, if God told me to 100%. For me, the criteria of morality, good, and etc. is dependent on what God says. So I can say with what I feel is nice, where I like living, but for something to be ontologically founded in something, it's got to be, for me, it's got to be founded in God. And therefore, if I know God told me to kill him, then that's the moral thing. The moral thing is to go and kill the person.
Are we more just than God?
What do you mean, are we more just than God?
That's my question. Are we more just than God?
There's no, just is dependent on God's commands. No,
I'm not asking you that question. I said, are we more just than God?
No.
So now, any human being here, Christian or a Jew or an atheist.
The guy in the jacket to bring his microphone. The guy in the light fluorescent jacket. Could you come in? Content version guy. Yeah, thanks.
So any Christian or an atheist or a Jew, if he see you killing an infant, you know what an infant is?
Yeah.
Can you define what is an infant?
A kid, a child.
Can you take a picture of infants, please? Because let us show the viewers what this guy tried to justify.
Let's just talk.
Okay. No, it's good because sometimes when we speak without picturing the event,
you don't like emotional conversation. You like intellectual conversation.
That's what intellectual. The intellectual. That is the intellect. No, it's emotional.
Okay.
That's intellectual. So a baby now, if someone sees you killing an infant, 2 months, and you tell him, why are you doing that? He's gonna tell you his forefathers did something evil. That is oppression.
Yes.
And that is oppression with everyone. Right. And you know why? Because God put that in us. So God will not put in us something which all of us we know is oppression, but go against him. So therefore God put something within us which go against his nature. Because what God put in you something called fitra, natural inclination. What is natural inclination? God put in us, if you know, you don't have to go college or to schools to know you should not get married to your mother. Something within you that God placed that you hold it as evil. Correct? You with me?
Not 100%, no.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. So everyone knows that killing an infant.
Everyone feels.
No. Except you. You know why? Because
I feel that way.
No, you don't feel. Because you believe in a book, in a Bible, which justify the killing of the infants and the babies. And that's why you're doing in where? In Palestine. Because that speak about the Amalekites. And the Palestinians are Arab. And the Amalekites, which called Amalekah, are Arabs. The Zionists are using these passages to kill the Palestinians. That is a different subject, but let's go back to the main point.
I'm going to leave that.
Okay.
So the question, so there's 2 points here. Point number 1 is my belief of where morals come from. And when I say moral, I mean objective good, and there's your opinion. Your opinion.
It's not objective.
No, okay, my opinion is objective good in the world. The question is where we know it from and how it exists like that. Your opinion is that objective good is whatever you feel.
No, it comes from God. No,
right, it comes from God.
Yes,
it's ontologically founded in God. It's based in God. But then the next stage is you know that whatever I feel is what God wanted, right?
No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
What's your opinion?
I said humankind.
I meant
humankind worldwide. They know. Let us clarify, you are justifying killing the babies, yeah? Because if that was me, I'll be in prison next day.
Let me speak myself. You just say what you're.
No, you are justifying it.
I'm justifying.
You are justifying killing of the infants.
When God tells you to 100%.
Yes. So what is the difference between you and ISIS? If ISIS, God tells us.
The difference between ISIS and me is that God didn't tell ISIS.
Yeah, but ISIS can tell you the same thing. God never told you.
They can tell me 100%.
So both of you know the same.
The question is.
It's a table tennis.
The question is who's objectively right. That's the question. The question is. Hold me.
Okay, sorry.
The question is who's objectively right. If the question is, so you say your opinion, something which everybody feels is wrong, then that must be what God wants us to think is wrong, right? My opinion is, whatever God commands, that is the very definition of good. So I would ask you, you've made a jump from the fact that you've got a universal feeling of what virtuous is.
So who put that in us?
Well, you got a question of a virtuous feeling,
yes,
and then we know there's God. So how do you know to make that connection? That means God is infinite, we're finite. To start thinking about God and knowing what His reasons were is we can't really do that. We need to have a revelation either through by Mount Sinai, or you believe you had Muhammad. So you can't start postulating why God done something.
You missed the question. The point. There's
so to finish off a sentence.
No, you haven't answered my question. No.
Then you can go.
Before you go off, go back to the main point.
Put full stop there. So my point is, how do you know to take that second step and say, because of the universal virtue, therefore that must be God's objective will of what He wants. God gave us a revelation what he wants. He didn't put feelings in what he wants. How do you,
Wait a minute. So if every human being has an eye, who gave them eye?
God gave him that.
If every human being has the unnatural inclination,
God put it there.
okay, so would God put something wrong in you?
So that's a fundamental logical flaw.
No, it's not. It's, no. You speak for long, so let me speak.
Okay, I'm sorry, so it's finished.
Okay, no, I haven't finished. You just can't me.
I'm sorry.
So one thing that you have to understand that is not because why? Something which is called universal,
Yeah.
like everyone knows,
Yeah.
in general speaking, what is good, what is bad.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Like everyone knows, if someone see someone beating up a baby, infant, who's not Muslim here? Is anyone, can we bring a non-Muslim? Are you Muslim? Non-Muslim. Can I ask you a question, please? If you see someone slaughtering a baby, an infant, do you think it's wrong?
I think it's wrong.
It's wrong, isn't it? You don't have to be a Muslim or a Christian. There's something wrong. Why? Because God will not tell us to pray. And especially if the reason you're killing that baby because his forefather did something. But that baby, his forefather never sought permission from him. Should I do it or not? So the baby has nothing to do with it. Wallahi, let me finish my point. Anyone can see clearly that you are falling into clear misguidance and try to justify it.
So let's get clear. What we agree on, we both agree that the universal feeling that it's wrong to kill a child. That's what we all agree on.
Which God put in us.
And that's the question. You said a why question about God. God put his feeling in us. Why did he do that? Now,
I didn't say why.
and then you followed on because he wants it objectively God's will that we should all know it to be wrong. So you've asked. So because of you've said God done something. I'm going to tell you why God done it, and why God did that. And that's a fundamental flaw because you have a finite mind. God never told you that's why, and you're assuming reasons for why God done something. If I saw
You just agreed with me.
No. One second. I agree that the universal feeling, but I don't believe it's objectively true within of itself. You believe
You believe God put in you
there is
something which you can differentiate between good and bad.
No,
Not in details. In details, you need the revelation. Mix it between the two. In details.
I know there's two different things, but I'm saying by
to be honest, it's going around the corner, but viewers can see clearly you are justifying the killing of the infants,
yes, and they also see I
babies.
haven't finished what I've got to say.
Yeah, finish. You can finish
So
it tomorrow.
One thing is, there's a fundamental flaw to say because God did something, God made the world. You can't start saying, therefore I know what God wants from the world. The only way we can know is through God's revelation to us, and it's very logical. We all know God is infinite. We are finite. How could one even imagine? It's like assuming an animal understands what we want. If it's to assume an animal will have, from its point of view, perspective, will think certain things. Human beings have the same thing as God, but we have logically a fallacy to assume that our calculations are going to be correct because God's infinite. The only way we can know something is from God's revelation. So we both agree the foundation of morality is in God. The question is, how do we know what God's will to know the epistemology? How do we know what is moral? So you made an assumption, according to me, that because
which is subjective.
Because God had a feeling, because we have a feeling amongst us, I know why God does it. For me,
no, listen.
For me, let me finish. You can say what I mean.
Okay, but don't misquote me.
For me, the reason why I do something, what makes it ontological, what makes it correct morally, is because God told me to. So am I justifying killing a child because his grandfather done something to me? No. I'm justifying because God told me to.
So that's what I'm saying. So God tell you to oppress people.
If God told me to oppress people, I would oppress people.
So you believe God's oppressor?
No. So good question.
Wait. So God tells you to oppress people, but he's not the oppressor.
That's a very good question.
So no, wait. You've been speaking for long. So you mix it between the two. I already said God put in us something called natural inclination. What is natural inclination? Something, generally speaking, you know there is a creator. You see what I'm saying? You know what is good, what is bad. You understand? Why he put that in us? In order when the revelation comes to us, we'll click in and we'll go line in line with the natural inclination. Because if God put in us, the God is a chicken, then he will send you to God's not chicken. You think no, something which is one known, well established God is a chicken, for example. Just a bad example, but my point here is God put within us that you should not punish someone because his forefathers did something. Would you agree with me that is oppression?
It depends if God commands you or not.
So okay.
Well, the thing is, it's pretty semantic. Oppression means someone's upset, then yeah, you're upsetting.
No. Is it logical to put
moral and not? Okay, fine.
Is it absolute? Is it rational, logical, absolute moral to put your son in a prison because your forefather killed someone?
If God didn't tell me, then it's not moral. If God told me to, then it is moral.
Okay, if God tell you to put your son and kill him because his forefather did something, what is the reason for God tell you to that? Because God
but
will
you
not.
know the
No. You believe God will not command us to do something without a reason, correct?
Yes.
So what is the reason for God?
I also believe I won't know the reason because God's infinite. If He tells me the reason,
Alhamdulillah
I'll
for
know.
Islam. Anyway,
If no, let
it was
me,
not,
let me
no, you'll be
finish,
finished
let
long
me
time.
finish. If
Alhamdulillah, viewers can notice.
if God told us the reason, we know the reason. But no one here would think we can work all of.
He told you the reason. He told you.
So wait.
He told you the reason.
Okay, if he told, yeah, I agree with you. If he told,
So what is the reason?
The question is, why did God say that? So God said a very simplistic reason to us because their forefathers were the first nation to attack Israel when they came out, and everyone was in awe of the nation of Israel, and then they came to get rid of that. So therefore, God punished the whole nation as a whole. You've got a question: is it moral to punish a nation as a whole, to punish the grandchildren? So that's the question of what is the moral of. Do we say morally speaking, you wipe out a whole nation? The answer is if God says yes, then the answer is yes. You asked a different question before.
No. Wait. God, so let us analyze. So you accept that is a logical and legislative reason for God to tell you kill someone for something he never did. You think that is okay?
Yeah, because
Yes or no? Yes or no? I don't want to carry on. Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay, and Islam teach us that if someone, you're not allowed to kill anyone for someone else's sin. Allah mentioned in the Quran, وَلَا تَزِرُ وَازِرَةٌ وِزْرَ أُخْرَى. I want the viewers to compare the teaching of the Old Testament. They can justify killing babies and children for something they never did. Literally for them. Imagine your father, not your grandfather, not your great-grandfather did something, and I'll come and slaughter your infants, baby.
So we're not.
Why? Why? Because he never did nothing. Okay? Allah mentioned in the Quran, وَمَا رَبُّكَ بِظَلَّامِ الْعَبِيدِ. Your Lord does not oppress. I want the idiot and the racist people to, instead of attacking Islam, you should be attacking this man who justified the kill of the babies. Look after yourself.
No,
That's it.
Why can't we finish the conversation?
I can go home.
Can you
Wait.
I'm asking you a favor. Can you finish the conversation?
No. I just finished. You're just going down the circle. If you're not,
I've
I
got a few
finished.
things to say.
No, you can say it. I finished.
I want to. Do you want to finish? Anyone else want to continue the
No,
conversation?
but you notice or not?
Why can't you just finish the conversation with me? 2 minutes.
I finished already. What should I do?
Finish what you said. You haven't finished what I've had to say. A conversation is two people.
Okay, you said it's okay if God tells you to kill babies.
But you haven't let me explain why that's logically correct.
You just did.
You've compared religion to show what your religion believes and my religion believes.
Yeah, because you
I'm
already
saying
did.
What you should be comparing is the logic you're using and the logic I'm using.
Not
What
logic.
I'm telling you is
Alhamdulillah
from
for
a logical and the logical view should be that you cannot assume why God put something here, God made that. I can just tell you another reason God put universal morals. Maybe He wants us to overcome our emotional feelings sometimes. We can come up with different reasons. It's not our job to know. We have to work with God.
So it's okay for the celebrity's mother, because you know what? Maybe God tell me I feel it's wrong, but maybe I will have to overcome it and sleep with my mother. Come on, look out to yourself,
you have
man.
to go with revelation.
Yeah, come on, look out.
You're speaking from emotion.
I'm not
You
speaking from
don't
emotion.
like the fact
I'm
that you
speaking
kill someone.
anyone here.
don't-
No,
yeah,
a
emotion.
Muslim or a non-Muslim. Anyone agree with me that you should not kill babies because
It's
of
irrelevant how
their
many people agree
forefathers
with
did
you.
something?
It's
No,
irrelevant how
my
many people
point is,
agree with
you accuse me.
No one's disagreeing
Hear me
with
out.
the
Hear me
universal
out.
feeling.
Hear
No
me
one's
out.
disagreeing with
You
that.
accuse me that the reason I'm saying that because my emotion, but I'm gonna prove to you that's not the case because everyone can agree with me. That's my point.
Emotion. We all feel that, are we right? We all feel it's wrong to
Except
kill.
you.
I feel it's wrong to kill, but the difference is I can logically say, however, that doesn't make it objectively wrong because I feel it's wrong. What makes them objectively wrong is God's creator, who's the objective reality of the world, tells you not to do something. That becomes objectively right, objectively wrong. You said what we feel and then made the illogical connection between since I feel like that and God must have done it, therefore God must have had this in mind. And if God doesn't tell you that, you've got no right to start assuming what God
No,
does.
I didn't say. I said to you clearly that you believe God can oppress His people. You agreed with that. You agree?
Of course he can.
I believe as a Muslim, God does not oppress.
We're not
So
comparing beliefs.
no, hear me.
We're not meant to be
Is
comparing beliefs
oppression evil or good?
It depends if God ordered it or not.
Look after yourself. I'm free from your belief.
Okay, fine.
Alhamdulillah for Islam
But
people.
we're not comparing
Yeah.
beliefs.
Anyway, my book here is gonna close. That's why many people left Judaism, to be honest. Because if you believe that is a logical and is a rational boy. Anyway, take care.